to this week's edition of Taking Care of Business. This week I'm joined by our residential lettings director, Richard Feeney.
Hello.
Or Rich, as we like to call him.
Richard, Theans.
Last seen on the Dad Jokes video, so hopefully we talk more sense to each other today.
I've got another one if you want it quickly.
Go on.
What do you call an alligator wearing a vest?
Go on.
An investigator.
Like it. Good. Okay, so to get into it, let's talk first off. I know it's been probably covered in the last few days quite a bit about the agreement with Emirates MBD and the Land Department to digitalise rental payments, or to put it in simpler terms, kind of phase out cheque payments and do it more through bank transfer. How's that gone down with the team, with the landlords and tenants, and what's the initial reaction in the industry?
Initial reaction's been positive. A lot of the team, they reached out to me before I even kind of seen the article. Kind of shows how hands-on they are with, the news and what's kind of going on in the market, which is good. The only, not necessarily a concern, but there's no kind of time frame on it. I just hope that it's sooner rather than later, because I know there was a lot of talk about it, kind of the last kind of 12 months or so, kind of trying to sort of wait, kind of weave away now from checks, post-dated checks, kind of get into a, kind of direct debits, I should say. So yeah, fingers crossed, hopefully it's sooner rather than later.
And to dive into some of the impacts that checks have in terms of putting a deal together, obviously, when someone moves to Dubai to rent a property, they need a checkbook, which can take 2 or 3 weeks to set up an account and for a checkbook to come through. But then also, we've all been in a situation before where we've gone to rent a property, we've dug out the checkbook we've not looked at for a year, and there's only 2 pages left, and maybe we've not got enough checks. So, I mean, do you anticipate that this will have an impact on the speed of deals as well, and make both tenants and landlords and even agents' lives a little bit easier in terms of putting a deal together?
100%. I like to think so. Like you said then, that there shouldn't really be any kind of delays now when this kind of kicks in, whereby, okay, I'm waiting for my checkbook, I'm setting up with a bank, or, I've only got 2 checks left on my bank. It should just be bang, bang, bang. Okay, we'll set up the direct debit. It goes from my account to landlord's account. Obviously, I don't know the whole kind of process, the ins and outs of it yet, but it should make it a lot more, kind of time efficient. And
then in terms of payments, so I haven't got the stat here, but traditionally I think we have about 35% of our deals that are done in 1 cheque payment.
Yeah.
And then 65%, obviously 2 checks or more. How do you think this will impact like the terms of payment in terms of whether it's 1 cheque, 2 checks, like 12, or not even checks, bank transfers, direct debits, 12 over the course of a year?
I don't think it will kind of change the landlord's, kind of demand for wanting 1 or 2 payments. I think that's always going to be there. But, like you said, then I think it's, kind of like approximately 30% of the deals, that kind of we've done whereby landlords are receiving a 1 cheque payment, or kind of 1 payment, whether it be a bank transfer or a cheque. So I don't think that will kind of change the landlord's demand for wanting, kind of fewer checks. It just depends. It depends how it's kind of rolled out, to the market. It depends how the landlords kind of, engage with it. I think if there's, the security there that, okay, that there's official kind of policies and procedures in place whereby, it's a standing order, let's say, that might give the landlord more kind of peace of mind than, just receiving, kind of 4 checks post-dated. So hopefully it will be,
Well, the thing that it's there in the mortgage business, isn't it? Like, you can't, if someone's, it might sound simple to say, but if you've got a mortgage, you can't cancel your direct debit mortgage payments. You've got a car loan, I'm happy to be corrected, but I think if some of the car loans now, or probably all of them, you can't cancel the car loan payment. So I would expect it to be a similar thing, that once you've set this up, it's not something you could cancel, which hopefully will give landlords, like you said, more peace of mind over things, and more cheque payments, because I think Dubai's got such ambitious plans for the population between up to 2040. I do think that we are going to have to look at increased cheque payments, because not everyone can afford 1 or 2, and not everyone. We're dealing with a couple of banks at the moment that give rental loans to people to pay in fewer checks, but not everyone is also going to want to take a loan out. So let's see. It remains to be seen the impact it will have. Moving on from the checks. Q2, what did we see from your point of view in Q2?
It was, I think, as busy, let's say revenue-wise, as kind of Q1 was. It seemed to have a lot more, the traction was still there. There's still the demand. At the moment, there is still, an appetite for, properties, not necessarily in core areas. I mean, they still are core areas, but in terms of, let's say, your kind of mirror oasis, people are now starting to kind of broaden their kind of search, rather than I just want to be in Arabian Ranches, I just want to be in Dubai Hills. They can see now the way that the market's going and the way that the prices are, that okay, if they are willing to kind of commute 5 or 10 minutes, kind of further afield, they're going to get ultimately the same size property, but for maybe kind of 10,000-15,000 dirhams cheaper.
Yeah, well, to put that into data terms as well, it actually backs up a lot of what you're saying there. To share a couple of bits of information, I won't go on too much because we did cover this in last week's pod as well. In June, there was, and this is for the market in general, there's a 14% increase on Ijari registrations. So obviously 14% more rental transactions being done in the market, which I think fits with what we see in terms of when we're looking at our applicant registrations and the volume of deals that we're doing. It all seems to marry up. But then something that did stick out to me from our data is, whilst the number of transactions has risen in all of our top 10 transacted areas in Q2, if I just add them up here, 1, 2, 3, 4, in 7 of the top 10 areas, the average rental price came down.
Okay.
So what that's not saying is, if you've got a 3-bedroom villa, your 3-bedroom villas come down in value, but people are opting for cheaper, or this is what the data is suggesting. Yeah. People are opting for maybe cheaper options in the communities, or maybe they are expanding the search a little bit more, and then owners are having to be a little bit more negotiable in order to secure the tenant. Yeah. So I think my take on it, and obviously ask you for yours in a second, is that the market's been so good for a couple of years now, and we've been talking a lot about price increases. I don't think this is maybe a price decrease at the moment. Maybe it's the first indication of a bit of leveling off, or tenants hitting a ceiling as to where they can get to. I don't know if in your dealings with your team and the market, that's something you've seen or experienced, or?
Yes and no, really. I think it just depends on everyone's search requirements. Everyone's situation is different. For example, we might come across a family that specifically wants to live in Jumeirah Golf Estates because they have family that live there already. So any other areas that we kind of proposition them, Victory Heights maybe, kind of nearby area, they're going to go, well, no, we don't want to be there because, our cousins, our brother, our sister, whoever it is, lives in Jumeirah Golf Estates, one of there. So people will kind of go, and people's, like I say, search requirements and situation can be specific, kind of tailor-made, let's say, it's kind of that particular family. If no one has that main kind of that appetite and drive to be in a certain area, then of course, we can offer areas that maybe, like I just said, kind of a few minutes ago, maybe 10 or 15 minutes further afield, whereby they're going to get the same size property, but for maybe, kind of 10,000-15,000 dirhams cheaper, which then of course, kind of marries up with what we're saying about
It makes perfect sense. And it's like we've said for a while, Dubai is no longer one property market we can talk about. We have to talk about area by area. Yeah. Because every area is so different in terms of supply, even price ranges and what have you. Good. Let me come on to the next point I've got for us here, which is the summer months. Obviously, a lot of people travel, both tenants and landlords. I think a lot of people do come over to Dubai in the summer months if they've got families ready for the next school year to get settled in. So what do you expect we're going to see over the next couple of months?
I think now, particularly in the office that we're in now, Motor City, in the department that I'm looking after, it is mainly sort of villas. We are kind of seeing now that the tenant inquiries are kind of slowly, I mean, they're not dropping off the face of the cliff by any means, but they are kind of slowing down slightly. I think that's because people have the luxury now of travel, whereas, kind of last 2 years, with the whole sort of, COVID and whatever's kind of, happened, people have been, kind of cooped up here. So now they've got the flexibility to go back to their home countries for, my sister, she's fortunate enough to go back to the UK for, kind of 6 to 8 weeks. She owns a place here. But if they were, let's say, kind of renting, it'd be a case of, okay, well, look, search's on hold now until we get back. Then once we're back, we'll look at, kind of going out, finding a property and, kind of getting somewhere established and ready for when the kids start school so that, we're ready to go. So we have noticed that, kind of the inquiries have kind of slowed down slightly. But on the flip side of that, we were just talking, kind of, I was about to say off air then. I guess it is off air, isn't it? Talking off air and said that, if any landlords do have any kind of serious offers at the moment, they should strongly be considering them, because let's, kind of 5,000, 10,000 dirhams off the asking price at the moment, if the if the majority of tenants do kind of end up leaving Dubai for the summer months, going back to their home countries, they come back, the unit's still available. It's not a good look for a landlord having that, the unit on the market for as long as that. And also, if the tenants are going away, it's probably better to kind of secure something now, shake hands on an agreement, sign a contract, collect the checks, knowing that peace of mind, okay, I've got XYZ family moving in kind of 4 to 6 weeks time, once they're back.
Yeah, or even if it is a shorter time scale, it's less vacant period for a landlord, isn't
Correct.
it? So that 5 or 10k below asking, maybe they'd be reluctant to take. It could be if the market is a bit slower and the property's empty for 2 to 4 weeks, then you're going to lose that. They'll lose that amount anyway.
It makes sense, and sometimes, unfortunately, that's what we have to kind of do with landlords, whereby they'll say, no, I want X, Y, Z price, and we kind of break it down and say, okay, well, look, at your price here, let's divide that by 356 days in a year, isn't it? Sorry, 365. 365, divide that figure by 365, that'll give you your day rate. So every kind of, let's say, day it stays vacant, this is essentially what you're kind of losing. This is what you're losing per week. And all of a sudden, it kind of drops and like, okay, it would be better if I get a tenant in there now to kind of avoid that, that sort of vacant period.
Yeah, no, all wise words. But I think, just to conclude on that, whilst we're highlighting a couple of points, I think it's still, we need to keep it top of mind that the market is still buoyant.
Of course.
We've done more deals than ever. The market has done more deals than ever, especially in June from last year. So whilst there might be a couple of signs it's a summer and in a few areas the average price has dropped, I think we're still in a very healthy market for landlords.
I think it's just been, like I say, the last couple of years has been so significant compared to any other years. It always is seasonal, particularly in rentals. You're going to get a lot of people that, particularly in villas as well, that do want to kind of like leave the search, not necessarily till the last minute, but the kids are going to school starting in kind of like end of August, September. Predominantly for us, it's always been very busy. End of July, August time, people coming back from being away and they want to get something sorted.
Good. Okay, before we finish, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit here.
Not another dad joke.
No. So I think a lot of people, mortgage payments would have gone up when it started July with the interest rate rises. A couple more projected this year. So whereas we've had it really good for a couple of years at least with the mortgage rates now, they are starting to creep up a bit. So bearing that in mind, and that's only one factor I know, but I'm just being a bit devilish. Do you still think it's right for people or a good idea for people to buy, or should they fill your coffers with rental contracts?
Rental contracts, no. I think buying's always the best. It has to be. I think the reality is that, there are always going to be a lot more tenants than there are buyers, just because not everyone's got the down payment available, the transfer fees available, the agency fee. If you're buying a property here in Dubai, you're talking, 4% DLD transfer fees, 2% broker fee, whatever your mortgage down payment is. It's a lot of money. So not everyone's got that kind of that luxury of going, okay, well, we've got a few 100,000 dirhams in the bank account, let's put that towards property. People have to kind of build themselves up here in Dubai. It's an expensive place to live, as we all know, especially now, the petrol prices, are going up, still cheaper than, a bag of chips back at home, but they're still going up. So I think what a lot of people do is they kind of come here with the intention that, okay, I do want to buy somewhere, and obviously inevitably have that end goal, but it's about getting that nest egg going, keeping the savings coming in so that they can turn around and go, okay, I'm ready to kind of transact now. So I think, to answer your question, it still should be, kind of the forefront of people's mind to buy a property. But I think when you kind of look into it, particularly the tenants that we're dealing with, not everyone's got that, kind of flexibility to say, okay, well, I've got 500,000 sat there, I'm ready to kind of invest in a property.
I would love to know where you get your bags of chips from back home. if they're more expensive than a fuel tank.
Feeney mega chippy. You've not heard the thing on Instagram? You've not heard it, no? Really good.
But coming back to the average prices, I mean, maybe that might be a factor in it. We know for a fact people are seeing Dubai as their home a lot more. More people are settling here. This, obviously, we're talking about rentals at the moment, but sales deals have increased on volume, really, month on month or quarter on quarter, certainly for the last couple of years. So with that in mind, maybe people are looking to tighten the pockets a little bit on the rental side, to enable them to save a bit more, to get on that property ladder quicker. Who knows? It's all speculation. But that rounds us up for today, unless you did have one more dad joke you wanted to share.
Oh, God, you put me on the spot now.
No,
No,
I think you've got away with it. Thank you, as always, for listening, guys. If you've got any comments, any questions, queries, please leave them in the comments section. And as always, please like and subscribe. It does help us a lot. Have a good week.
Press that button.